Hello, and I guess welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't uploaded on here in a really long time, aside from birthday and vacation videos that I've uploaded honestly for my own memories, but a lot has happened and there's a lot of reasons why I stopped posting, and I will share about that briefly in this video. But my mom had a really awful diagnosis and just passed away this year, and I had a cancer scare, my husband had a health scare, and Darcy just passed away. So yeah, a lot has happened. So here we go. So in June of 2022, that is when I uploaded that one video stating that something awful had happened and that I probably was going to be stepping away for a while, or at least slowing down. I'm not even really sure anymore what I even said in that video, but I was trying to not say anything that was too revealing because it was obviously something super personal in my life and I wasn't the only person that was affected, so it wasn't just my business to say. But what happened was my mom was diagnosed with the rarest form of dementia called frontotemporal dementia, and not only was she diagnosed with the rarest form of dementia, she also had the two rarest variants. So my mom was in her 50s when she was diagnosed, and I spent the last almost 4 years watching the woman who gave birth to me and bring me into this world basically become nothing. And if you know me, you know that my mom was my favorite person in the entire world. I don't think I've ever loved a human the way that I loved my mom. I always felt so close with her, and just watching her go from being the mom that I knew, like the most perfect mom in the world, to not being able to walk on her own, to have to use a walker and then a wheelchair and then struggle to speak and then lose her ability to read and to write and to stand, walk, feed herself, do literally anything, was so traumatizing. It was like slowly losing your favorite person in the entire world, and your heartbreak is just continuing to happen over and over and over and over and over again every time you see them. And my mom and I don't live in the same city, so every time I would go see her, it is a 3-hour commitment. So when she was first diagnosed, I was going down to see her every weekend for months, and then it started to become too much because I was never home. I was never spending time with the girls. I was never spending time with my husband. I didn't have any time for myself or my own home or my own life. So then I started going down every other weekend, and it was still really hard to try to balance being a wife, being a mom, being myself, trying to take care of my mom, and also somehow stay sane and work and manage a home and everything else. It's a very weird dynamic shift when you become the parent of your parent, especially when your parent is not retirement age. She's still at an age where she should be able to do all of these things, and I wasn't able to relate to anyone. I mean, thankfully, I'm grateful, that most people my age don't go through stuff like this, but it was really hard to have no one that could understand what I was going through aside from people who were my parents' age. So my mom ended up being put on hospice in the fall. She started to decline really rapidly in March, and she passed away on March 31st. And I watched my mom pass away. And that's just the craziest experience of my life. It was beautiful. I was so grateful that I got to be there and experience her last breath with her when she was there for my first breath. But I don't think anything in the world prepares you to lose your mom when you're 32. Nothing prepares you to watch your mom be forced to retire early because she physically can't function. Watch her become a vegetable. Nothing prepares you for having to feed your mom, change your mom, watch her take her last breath, watch her body be carried out of a home. Nothing prepares you for going to buy your mom's outfit that she's literally going to be buried in. It just seems like the most surreal, out-of-body experience in the entire world. So basically the reason why I stopped posting at that point was because I just didn't have time to constantly not be home and taking care of my mom. And then when I was home, I wanted to focus all my time on my family here because my time was just very limited, and recording videos and editing and all that stuff just takes up so much time that I just no longer had, and it wasn't on my priority list. And while I was grieving that, I also had an ovarian cancer scare the fall that she was diagnosed in 22. Thankfully, I don't have ovarian cancer. All of that played out. And then in June of 2024, Larcy started throwing up bile like every other day for 6 months straight. She had no other symptoms. She was otherwise acting completely fine, and I took her to the vet multiple times, did a bunch of testing, and they could not figure out what was wrong with her. I eventually stopped giving her chicken. It worked. It worked for 6 months. She threw up like once or twice in the next 6 months, which, you know, for a dog isn't like that abnormal every once in a while. And then in May of 2025, last year, I started noticing blood on her stool, like every other stool. Took her in for testing, couldn't figure it out, tried a few things, wasn't working, started noticing mucus on her stool, same thing, couldn't figure it out, did a bunch of testing. Then we started noticing that she started having a lot of urgency and a lot of frequency, and we're trying different foods, and again, we're still doing all this testing, could not figure out what was wrong with her. Then she starts throwing up, she starts going through phases where she doesn't want to eat, all while still acting completely normal, like not acting like she's in pain, not acting like anything's bothering her, like she would do all these things and then just act like nothing happened. Then even after seeing specialists, still couldn't figure it out. In October, she started rectal prolapsing, which was scary in itself. We had a couple surgeries done. We ended up having to do a colopexy to permanently fix the prolapses and prevent them from happening, and we did surgical biopsies and finally got a diagnosis of inflammatory bowel disease in December of 25. There was a lot in that meantime, and I will make a video like dedicated to how we figured out she had inflammatory bowel disease because it's a huge long story, but I'm kind of trying to keep this like short and to the point. So we were working with her internist basically once a week, going out to see her, trying to manage her symptoms, trying to manage her medications, supplements, food, everything, so that way we could keep medical intervention at a minimum while keeping her symptoms also at a minimum, like trying to find that happy medium because we didn't want it to affect her quality of life or length of life. And it was like this for the first couple months. And then in April 25th of this year, she threw up. Wasn't unusual for her at that point, but she started to refuse eating again. She didn't eat very much for about 3 weeks. She developed a bunch of neurological issues, and we found out that she had a brain tumor as well. We took her to radiation. She did all of her radiation treatments. That was her only option at that time of what we could do to possibly buy more time with her. And the day after we finished all of her radiation treatments, she stopped eating again. We were driving all over town trying to find anything that she could eat because she was very limited as to what she was allowed to eat with her GI issues, and she just kept developing food aversions so fast. She might eat things like once or twice and then she would never eat it again. So I might go out and buy 9 new things for her to eat for lunch and she might touch one, or she might not touch any of it, and she might have 2 bites. That means she was eating basically nothing, like a bird, and she just kept losing weight. And we were getting her off of her steroid, but she just developed a stomach ulcer that we could not get to stop growing. We took her to get a follow-up ultrasound after her radiation, because when we did her radiation, we did an ultrasound and it looked not very concerning at that point. So just in a few 2-3 short weeks, it had gotten really out of control despite lowering her steroid. And at that point they said that it was like kind of too far gone. It had gotten too big, it was too deep, it was concave, it was already boiling over. She already had gas built up in her stomach lining, and because she had already lost so much weight at that point and so much muscle, they did not think that she would survive any kind of surgery if we were trying to intervene to save her. So our options were to literally just let her starve to death, wait until the ulcer ruptured and have her go into sepsis and be in a ton of pain, or try surgery, which was strongly advised against, and have her likely just pass away on the table. And as much as I wanted to just do like one last Hail Mary to try to save her, they couldn't guarantee that she would have any quality of life if she did magically survive the surgery. And at that point, she'd already been through so much. Her little body was just getting so weak. So I had to make the worst decision of my life, and we had to let her go. So Larcy passed away on June 22nd. It's the worst day of my life, because on June 22nd of 22 was the day my mom was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. So 4 years later, and my mom and my dog died 12 weeks apart. It's very, very traumatic. And I still have not opened a single message since Larcy passed. I still haven't opened a lot of messages since my mom passed, because in the midst of dealing with all of that, the week after Larcy got diagnosed with their brain tumor, my husband had a stroke and he was in the ICU for 2 weeks. So I was trying to manage taking care of Larcy and her neurological issues, and trying to take care of my husband at the hospital, and then trying to like take care of the home and the bills and work, and it was just horrible. So yeah, worst 12 weeks of my life, but that's where I've been. And yeah, life is literally never been worse. I do want to share kind of what happened with Larcy, because I wish that I had someone to be able to relate to. Not that I would wish any of this on anyone, but just to feel less alone, because during all of this I felt so incredibly alone because no one gets it. And people can be there for you, and people can say that they're thinking of you and doing all the things, but like no one has any sort of clue what it is like to go through all of this and to go through it all at the same time. Like losing my brother in 2020 was crazy and hard enough, and then my mom's diagnosis was not even 2 years later. I thought that was crazy. And then this all happens in 12 weeks, which is just absolutely insane. I feel like I'm completely lying when I tell people, because it is just the wildest experience of my life, and this is just the Cliff Note version. But I did want to at least make this video just because I have received a lot of emails and messages asking why I don't upload anymore, and this is why. But I do want to share some videos about what happened, because I don't want anyone to feel as alone as I did. And I still have a ton of videos that I still need to edit. I have to finish our Georgia vacation video. I have to finish the girls' birthday videos from last year. I have to finish our mini vacation video from last year. I have to finish Christmas, Easter. I still have lots of videos that I still want to edit and upload, and honestly those are videos that I film for myself. I selfishly film them for me because those are memories that I want to be able to look back on, and I just allow everyone else to kind of be in on it as well. I just know that a lot of my videos have been really helpful for people, and while unfortunately I no longer have a mom to take care of, and I no longer have a really sick dog that needs me, so I have more time on my hands now, and I'm also just so incredibly sad all the time. So I'm gonna try to pour some of that energy into editing again, and just try to like distract my mind instead of just feeling completely empty 24/7. So if there's anything that you can think of that you want me to talk about, or have any questions that you think might be helpful for others, I'm always happy to help as much as I can to my mental capacity at the moment. This is not like the life update I ever wanted to give, and honestly I was waiting to make a life update video because I thought like somehow life was gonna get better and I was gonna have something super positive to say, but never in my wildest dreams I think I'd lose like the 2 most important souls in my entire world in 12 weeks. I don't know any other 32-year-olds who have lost a sibling, their mom, and their child, because to me Larcy is my child. She is my firstborn daughter. Yes, she is a dog, but she is the love of my life. I feel like I can't even say that without feeling like I'm absolutely lying, because I just wish it wasn't. Thank God we still have Koba, her little sister, and we have Larcy home with us. I have Larcy right here, which is nice. I don't know what else to say, but that's life update.